Hey everybody, Kelly with Little with Great Love. I am with Lauren Romero today, and we are talking about organization in the home and how it brings us peace. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about how organizing your home can bring you more peace in your life, Lauren is a professional organizer, an inspired professional organizer, and she started her own business recently, and she's just got a gift for that. So rather than me try to pretend like I'm really an expert at this, which I'm not, I brought on the expert, Lauren Romero, to talk to us a little bit about how she got started and maybe some tips on how do we do this. So Lauren, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. It's definitely a huge passion of mine, and I'm so excited to share that with everyone. So I am a mom of five. My oldest is 12, almost 13, and my youngest will be 6 in about 2 weeks. And so I've been a stay-at-home mom my whole motherhood, and I just, I just always have loved organizing. Whenever I was in high school, I was that person that I would go to my friend's house. I'm like, let's clean out your closet. And even my husband, when we were dating, I always loved to clean out his closet, clean out his room. So by the time we got married, it was like, he didn't really have very much. But as far as whenever I was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years, it was kind of my coping mechanism. With a lot of kids, there's a lot of stuff, and stuff just comes in your house. I don't know. I always say it breeds somehow. Half the time I didn't even buy it, but it just comes in my house. And so I just always really felt a sense of calm and order in organizing. And so I just would always do that. I would go in my kids' rooms. It's like, all right, it's time to clear this out. Time to kind of find a sense of peace and order in here, because I just felt very chaotic. My kids do not share my enthusiasm for organizing, but they're getting there. I'm trying to teach them tips. And so, I always joked, once my youngest would go to school, I was like, what am I going to be when I grow up? And so I found out that this was a thing. This was a career. And so I kind of had it in the back of my mind for years, and just kind of waited until my youngest went to school and it was time to pursue it. So yeah, I made a year in February, this past February. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let me ask you, what do you think from your experience, your own experience, as well as the clients that you work with? What do you think is the greatest obstacle in being organized in our homes, whether we have kids or not? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I would definitely say time. We're all so busy. Time and being super overwhelmed and not knowing where to start. So, carving out time, because we're always kind of in and out, doing a lot of things. And then just, you need to do it. You're overwhelmed, but it's like, oh my goodness, where do I even start? It's just kind of very daunting to think about doing it. So
Where do we start? I mean, if it's overwhelming, it's daunting, the time, I mean, do you have, and we'll get to the tips in a minute, but while we're on this particular road here, what do you say is the best way to get started?
I would say, well, number one, decide and schedule a time to do it. Like put it on the calendar as if it's an appointment, like a legit doctor's appointment. Think of it as a doctor's appointment for your home. Or like a personal trainer. I'd kind of, we like to say it's like, we're like a personal trainer for your home. And so schedule a time, put it on your calendar. And then, I always like to say, because I walk in people's homes and it's like, I don't know, there's the whole house. And so I always like to tell them, what is the one space that is bothering you the most? We kind of try to start there. And then also, like, once you get going, you gain momentum, and then you just want to keep going.
Yeah, I like that. So the space that's bothering you the most. I like that.
Mhm.
Okay, now what do you think are some of the benefits? Like once we get started and we have identified the space that's bothering us the most, and we start on that space, of course, with your help would be awesome. Because I'm sure you would have recommendations, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But what are the benefits? Like once we start organizing that space, what have you seen in your life or you've seen in your clients' lives? Like once that space is organized, what's the difference? What are the benefits?
I would definitely say a lot more peace. I always like to say, like, if you're feeling peace on the outside, you're feeling peace on the inside. We don't realize how much, like, our stuff, even though it's not actually making sounds, it's very noisy. It's just like a lot of visual clutter. And that's, for me personally, that was something that really affected me. I'm really affected by visual clutter. Some people have a very high clutter threshold, and so it doesn't bother them as much. But when you start clearing it, that's when you realize, like, oh wow, it was a lot. It was loud, So yes, I would say a lot more internal peace, less chaos, a lot less frustration, I would say. I was thinking about a particular day, it might have been even last week. We're super busy, and even my house gets messy. And when the house is messy and we are rushing around, I can't find my keys, I can't find this, I can't find that. But when everything is in its place, it's a lot less chaotic. You can find things and you're not wasting time. And also, you actually can save money. You can find everything you need instead of like, well, I'm making cupcakes, so now I can't find the sprinkles because my pantry is a disaster. So you go out and buy more sprinkles. Well, when you organize your pantry, you might have 10 bottles of sprinkles because you couldn't find them. They were shoved everywhere. So you can save money whenever you're organizing because you know exactly what you have. And then the biggest thing I would say is that you have a lot more time to do the things that you want to do the things that you love, to spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, or on hobbies that you want to spend time on. Because, instead of when you're in your home, you're thinking, oh, I need to clean this, I need to clean this, I need to do this, cleaning, you're just constantly cleaning up. But instead, if you're pretty well organized, you can do the things that you want to do. So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I think one of my struggles is my closet. So sometimes I have an idea of what I want to wear to a certain thing, and then I go to get dressed, like I give myself 30 minutes or something to get dressed and get the whole outfit together, and then I can't find the shoes that go with the outfit, or I can't find the top that goes, whatever it is. And then I'm like, well, wait a second, did I wash it? Then I got to go to the laundry room. And then it's like, it takes a lot more time unless I was just organized. Like, I'm sure you have a strategy for organizing closets. I've tried a couple different things, but anyway, that's just one of my struggles.
Yeah. With closets, I would say, I always like to tell clients, your closet should be like a really good party where you walk in and you see all of your best friends. Everyone you walk in, like, because I feel like before, for me, I would go in my closet and it takes so long to figure out what you're going to wear. Like, us ladies, we have a lot of options, but you don't know if it fits, or I don't really like this, or, a big example is like packing for a trip. That's always the hardest thing. It's like, I have all these clothes, but then nothing to wear, so I always like to say, whenever you walk in, you should like everything that you own.
I like that idea. I could do that. I like having friends.
Absolutely.
I really like that idea. So, okay. So what would you say are your top 3 tips? I know you said one tip is identify the space that's bothering you the most. To get started. Schedule a time. Those are maybe, I don't know if that's on your 3 top tip list things to do, but those are definitely good places to start. Now, do you have any other tips you want to share with our people uh, to help us to get started and get going on things.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to, you know, setting aside the time, another thing would be, like accountability partner, whether it's your spouse, whether it's, you know, a friend or whatever. So that's also, that was not on the top. I could come up with a whole list of, you know, tips, but, I would say focus on one area at a time. Like we said, you know, I like to think about, like when you are trying to start exercising and you're like, I want to get healthy. That's like your big main goal, but it seems very overwhelming. So you take it bit by bit. Same thing with your home and getting organized and simplifying. You can't think of like the whole big house, because that's overwhelming and daunting. But like I said, think about one small space, whether it's a drawer, you know, whatever you can start and stop, you know, in one time. You know, because if it's a big whole room, obviously it might take multiple days. But if you have 15 minutes, you know, think of one space and let's go through it. This is a big one. I see clients, and a lot of times the first thing is like, okay, tell me what kind of products I need to buy, what kind of containers. And I'm always like, hold up, do not go buy anything. So my biggest tip is obviously declutter. Pull it all out. So let's say you're organizing just one small drawer. You are literally going to want to pull every single item out of that drawer and put it out. You're going to want to categorize it and then decide, do I need it? Because I feel like when you have to touch everything, you really have to make decisions about every little item and deciding, do I need this? Am I using it? Is it important? Is it really special to me, or can I let it go? And can someone else use it? So declutter first. And then I would say the next tip is everything needs a home. And then I'll get back to the containers. So if you have a home for everything, like thinking about my story earlier about my house is chaotic, we're running around looking for things. People a lot of times can't find their keys. So if you have a space for keys, like this is where my keys always go, or I always think about this example. I was with friends one day and my daughter called me and said, you know, Mom, where's the paintbrushes? So on the phone, I said, well, it's in the foyer closet up at the top in the container that has all the paint. And that was also a big thing in motherhood, why I also like to, I wanted to get organized, because I really needed other people in my household to be able to go find things. So if you have a home for everything, you can find what you need very easily. You know, you can go straight to that drawer, straight to that closet or that spot. So everything needs a home. So getting back to the containers, this is when, number one, once you're decluttering, you may see that you may have all the products you need. You may have bins and baskets you can use, reuse, you know, rehome, whatever, use it for a different purpose. Or you may want to go buy new containers. And there's, you know, wide variety of prices of containers, but measuring your space and making sure that it fits properly. Because if you don't have a container that fits correctly, you know, it may not serve you well. So using those containers in the home where you're going to have the things. So.
Okay. So declutter, everything needs a home.
Yes.
And using containers, but you might, you know, once you do all those other things, you'll be able to determine the right containers for the right spaces.
Yes. And on one space at a time.
One space at a time. Okay. Starting with the space that bothers you the most. Okay. This is really good stuff. I'm thinking about my spot that I got to start in, and that's my closet. Now I have another question for you.
Yes.
Talking about decluttering. So my problem is whenever I look at something, my husband likes to just give stuff away. Like he is kind of a minimalist if in terms of stuff to keep. He does not like clutter. He hauls it off to somebody else who needs it. And that's a really great thing. That's a very generous thing to do. However, there have been many times whenever he hauls the stuff off and maybe I haven't used it, but then a couple of weeks later, I'm like, man, where's that thing? The thing that I needed that you gave, you gave it away. So so a lot of times I'll hang on to stuff. Sometimes I just have an unhealthy attachment to it. But sometimes I'm thinking, well, I'm not using it right now, but I might need it because this, that, and the other thing. I mean, how do you determine if you need to keep it or need to give it away? I mean, is there a question I need to ask myself? Like if I heard, well, if you haven't used it in the last 6 months, you need to give it away, I mean, whatever. I mean, is there kind of like a rule of thumb with that or just?
Yeah, I mean, that is a hard one because, we're trying not to be wasteful. We're trying to be frugal. And, we're trying to be mindful of like future purchases. But I would say like things are so easy to come by now that like we shouldn't hold on to it, if for that one day, we should use it now, but obviously like there may be things that like baby clothes, you may be holding on to that because you will need it later, but I think it just kind of depends on the item and would it cost a lot of money to replace it, and like do you really need it? I don't know, that is a really hard one to decide. Like if you're going to use it like maybe in the next 5 years, let's let's but yeah, I mean, if you're gonna use it really in the near future and it's a little bit more difficult to come by, then okay. Something else, a tip that was told to me is, if you're in the store, would you buy it again? Whatever the item may be, but good. Also like if you're constantly holding on to it, like you said, could someone else use it now? Like would they need it now? I worked with actually just this week with a client that we cleared out a huge toy room, and she also has lots of kids, and it's like, I hate getting rid of these things because what if the little ones need it or whatever. And so it was like, okay, there's going to be birthdays and Christmas, and so it's time to let some things go. And I was able to go and bring it and donate it to a physician's office where they serve mainly low income and immigrants. And so they give it to them like for their birthday or, when they come in for a visit. And then some things we donated to a daycare with medically fragile individuals, babies up to like young adults, and they really needed that now, and so it's like, okay, could someone, like, I'm not just dropping it off to where the donation place is just going to throw it away, will someone actually need it now? Do I really need to like store it in the closet? And it's also taking up space, yeah.
And that one of the things that I recently started doing is praying that God would show me who needs this and who can I give it to? Like, God, show me who needs these clothes that I'm not wearing, or who needs these items. I have a lot of things that I just don't use, and I don't want to hold on to it. I don't like clutter. I just really appreciate when, in my life, when I needed like different size clothes, for example, or I started a new job and I needed like a little bit of a more sophisticated wardrobe. And a good friend of mine who is the same size as me gave me shoes, jewelry, clothes. I mean, she gave me a whole bunch of stuff. And I was so grateful because, I mean, that stuff's expensive if you're going to go out and buy it brand new, And she said she prayed about it and God told her, put me on her heart. And she gave me, I mean, it was really, and it fit me perfectly. And it was even like my style of my size shoe, the earrings that I like, the matching everything. I mean, it was just it, and I just felt so loved by God that he would do that for me. It was very specific. It was a sweet little gift. So maybe that's a good tip, right there. It's just if we have too many things, maybe with an unhealthy attachment to them, that we would pray that God would show us who to give it to and who needs it now, because it just makes giving, and even scripture says, give and you will receive. So if I want to receive more, I need to give more. I want to give more.
Absolutely.
So, and sometimes it's just making that donation, regardless of if we know where it's going or not. If we know that God's asking us to get rid of it because we don't need it and somebody else could use it. It's just the principle of giving and being more generous. It's a fruit of the Holy Spirit. So, which brings me to my next question, Lauren. So what about, how do you see that, like, making it a priority to organize our homes? Do you think that has an effect on our relationship with God? I know you kind of mentioned the peace thing, which, that's a big one, but do you have any thoughts you want to share on that, on how organizing could affect our relationship with God?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is working on like detachment, and fully relying on God. Like I think a lot of times, like you just said, we hold on to things out of fear. And obviously, like I said, we need to be prudent. We can't just, not some of us may be called to get rid of everything, like St. Francis, but not all of us are called to like that major minimalism. And so we do have things, but being able to let go of things, that we really don't need and freely teaches us detachment, teaches us to really rely on God for what we need and letting it go and knowing that like he is going to provide. If we're truly doing what he's calling us to do and letting go, he will provide. Like we said, the peace that you're going to get from that is huge. And, I thought about like, you should take that time out for prayer. And if you have such a cluttered space, if you don't have like a space that you can go and sit and pray, then it's going to be really hard to really focus on God and tune out all those distractions. Always like to think about, going into our parish's adoration chapel, like, what do you see when you walk in there? It's nothing but God, and it's a lot easier to go and sit and just be and not have so many distractions. And so I feel like it's kind of similar in our home. Obviously, we need things. We have lots of things. Things are important, and we find beauty in the things that we own, some of the things that we own. But I do feel like it really helps us to have a sense of order. If we can be, it's a discipline, so we can take that time out for prayer. I thought about this quote from Saint Therese, and I wrote it down here somewhere. She said, "Only in heaven would I know unclouded joy." And so it's like such a good motivator that that's what we're trying to attain is heaven, and, not things. We don't want to find importance in things. Obviously, we need a lot of things, but God gave us things to enjoy, but to detach, to find a sense of peace and order so that we can order our minds and be clear of that to find him in our everyday. So
yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. There's for anybody who's interested, there's a resource called Catholic in Recovery, and that resource helps anyone with an addiction or addictions, because a lot of us have many, compulsions or unhealthy attachments. So if there's anyone that's listening right now who you're like, okay, look, I kind of have a secret hoarding issue, like I store up everything, or I think there's never going to be enough. There's actually, there's people that, there's help out there from a Catholic perspective. And There's virtual meetings. And so I'll post the link, but it's catholicinrecovery.com. And there's a lot of people who, we attach ourselves to unhealthy things, and then that takes the place of God, whether it be things or substances or habits. So there's ways to detach ourselves, and a lot of times we need a little bit of support to get over it. So I just want to put that out there. Now, Lauren, you offer services. So if you were in the Baton Rouge area or surrounding areas, including where I live, Lafayette, Louisiana, whoop, whoop, or New Orleans, or, that you actually physically go out to these places, to homes, and you offer free consultation, right?
Yes.
And then after the free consultation, the person is then able to, or the family is able to determine what services happen after that, right? There's different levels.
Yeah.
And that's on your website, right? Lauren Romero
Yes.
Organizing.com.
.com, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll put that in the link as well if you want to look at that. Now, can you tell us, we have a lot of viewers or members or people, a part of our community that are not in Louisiana, they're elsewhere. So do you offer any services for people, maybe if they're watching from a different state?
Yeah, so I can definitely do virtual. We would get on, some sort of virtual avenue to kind of help,
like FaceTime or Zoom or FaceTime?
a Zoom, FaceTime, or Google Meet, one of those. So yeah, to where I can kind of coach you through, cleaning out your space. So yeah.
So if you're interested in that and getting Lauren's help, you can go to her website, laurenromeroorganizing.com, and contact her. And if you put little, like, were you referred to her through a friend? Well, hello, Little with Great Love is your friend. So you can put that in there, and she's going to give you a sweet little discount on that if you need something in person, or if you need something, you need her help virtually. So we want you to go ahead and do that. And thank you, Lauren, so much for your help. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that I missed?
I know that, like, for me, this comes naturally. It's something I've always loved, but to encourage others, like, you can do this. I know a lot of people feel so overwhelmed, but find that accountability partner, carve out that time, because it is really important, and the benefits are really going to far outweigh, how, I don't want to say difficult. It's going to be some work, but you can do it. It's going to be awesome.
One room at a time, one little step at a time. And it pleases God. I mean, who doesn't want more peace? If you want more peace in your life, we got to start sometimes, hopefully from the inside out, but sometimes we got to outside in it. Sometimes you just got to work with what you got. And then it pleases God, right? I'm thinking about my lovely little closet here, and I'm thinking about, and not only that, but other things, and how it would please God if I would give a lot of that stuff away that I don't use and I don't need, and somebody else can use it. And just a little side note, my husband works for kind of like a branch of Catholic Charities, and just a little quick story. There was a time where I was the person receiving the donation, sorting through it and trying to figure out, like I said, where it goes where. And it made me so sad. It made me so sad that people would give away their trash. And I think that somebody else is going to wear this or use it when it's dirty. So I want to encourage you, clean the things before you give them away. Think about, this is your brother or your sister that you're giving it to. Like, think about it like that. And remember, Jesus says, whatever you do to the least of mine, you do unto me. So would you give Jesus that shirt with the hole in it? Or would you give him that glass vase that is dirty? Like, wouldn't you clean it before you gave it to him? It matters. And there was this one time that this gentleman, he had these really nice, like, name brand shirts on it. He got them all dry cleaned. And this is like really nice business, collared stuff. He got it all dry cleaned, fresh from the dry cleaner. I'm talking probably like 30 shirts, a couple suits, and he had it all nice and clean, and he gave that away. So we were able to give these shirts to people who were looking for jobs, going on job interviews, who didn't have that kind of clothes. It made them feel, you should have seen the smiles on their faces that they weren't getting a t-shirt with a hole in it, or a stain t-shirt, they were getting nice clothes that made them feel really good about themselves, you know. And right now I'm focusing on clothes, but you know, there's other things that that we can give away, that just take that time to clean it up. And what's I know they say, oh, what's your trash is somebody else's treasure. Just think about that before you give it away. Just want to encourage you to do that. So
Yeah,
anyway.
that's a really, really good point. And for me personally, in my business, what I try to do is the place that I'm donating to, and you can find out in your area, call them, because a lot of places, they want your, obviously, like you said, they want your better items, and items like holes, you know, socks with holes, any clothing with holes. Some places will recycle, you know, definitely don't send dirty things, because that's not being a good steward of your things and sending it to them. You know, but find out specifically what these donation places accept. Because, you know, one thing I do, St. Vincent de Paul here, I take it to the warehouse, because it directly helps the community. And you can take all of, they do textile recycling. So I put it in a separate little bag, you know, if there's any textiles that have holes, because they will get money, you know, from whenever they bring it and recycle it, they will get money to help their program, you know. But finding out what, you know, I know it's one extra step, but can you recycle things? Can you, you know, like you said, don't just send cash, you know, because that doesn't help anyone. We do want the things that we donate to actually help and not cause problems. So that's such a good point.
Thank you. And another just a little side note, sometimes people anywhere you're going to bring it, I'm sure is helpful, you know. I mean, God knows where these things are needed. And a lot of times, at least around here, we hear, oh, I'm not going to bring it to Goodwill because they sell it. Well, you may not know this, but actually Goodwill, they sell it so they employ people with disabilities. They sell it so they can help people move from being incarcerated back into the workforce. They sell it because they help people. They use the resources to help people. So it's not like, at least that's here at Goodwill of Acadiana, here in Lafayette, the Lafayette areas and stuff. So if you have thoughts, like when you're watching this, if you have thoughts about organizations to give your donations to, please add that in the chat. You know, send us some information. We're glad to post it. You know, different organizations that accept any kind of things, right? So we can just start our declutter process, and somebody else can find a good deal. So of something that they need. So Lauren, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. We hope that this is helping, this information is going to help you to stay organized, to find more peace in your life, and be generous with the things that you don't need, and it can be a gift and a blessing to somebody else. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. And please contact us, contact Lauren Romero, organizing.com, and she's happy to give you a Little with Great Love discount. So bye, y'all. God bless.
Bye.